Since 2000, a little later, the threat of the climate change has been more and more visible. And we've been more and more aware of the footprint that our industry has. So we started working with, only using organic cotton, trying to use as much recycled polyester as possible. And that worked okay for a while. But eventually we had to put it into a different system to create a quicker change, because we see the way the world is going. We don't have a lot of time. So we need to put really high, ambitious goals to our change, both to be able to change quickly, but this roadmap will also be visible to others and hopefully motivate our competitors to do the same. It's not about winning the race, it's about changing the industry.
Is there anything more fascinating than human potential? In the Adelaide podcast, you'll learn how to harness your mental greatness and achieve extraordinary performance.
Holy shit, like somebody's actually shooting at me.
I am coming to you from an igloo.
That was what One Life Live It is about for me. It's just about going out there and living your life in the best way that you know how.
So your Ironman race, was that your first ever triathlon?
Yes.
That is, I will say, insane.
And I just think if your knickers are right, your day goes right.
Welcome to the Adelaide podcast, teaching you how to achieve extraordinary performance. This episode is brought to you by my very own newsletter. Each week, I cover one mindset tactic to help you enhance your mental fitness. It's free and you can sign up at adelaide.com/subscribe. If I'm doing any meetups, events, special coaching programs, giveaways, or anything else that's limited, then I share it with my subscribers first. So check it out at adelaide.com/subscribe. In your welcome email, you'll receive an exclusive interview with elite endurance athlete and scientist Olof Dullner. This beautiful ebook is perfect for an inspirational read while commuting or chilling out on a Sunday. You'll learn the mindset techniques that Olof uses to become the best he can be, which according to his friends is superhuman. It's really easy to sign up to my newsletter. You'll get the awesome interview with Olof, so check it out at adelaide.com/subscribe. Thanks for listening, and now on to the great conversation. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Adelaide podcast. I am Adelaide, this is my podcast, and I hope you are well today and having a great and adventurous week. Today we are very fortunate to be joined by Jørgen Jørgensen, who is the CEO of Norrøna, a Norwegian brand that creates amazing outdoor products for adventurous and active people, as clean and environmentally friendly as possible. I absolutely love Norrøna because not only does it produce practical and fashionable outdoor clothing, but first and foremost, Norrøna thinks about how each product affects the environment and how they can minimize its impact. Norrøna is also a family-owned and driven company, which I, for one, think is amazing. I really wanted to find out more about one of my favorite brands and its fascinating story. So I met with Jørgen at Norrøna's HQ, which is situated just outside of Oslo. The building is brilliant. It's right next to a river with a lot of people cycling and skiing to work, even swimming. And it's a very modern building which contains everything they need to develop future products, grow the brand, repair old clothing, even from the 70s, and it has a small museum of Norrøna's history. I was very lucky to be given the full tour by Jørgen, which was fantastic and included a brief history of the brand, which was started on the 29th of April 1929 by Jørgen's great-grandfather. And you could even see some of the very first Norrøna products and adventures that they were involved with. Now, I promise you I won't give any more away. So here is Jørgen and I talking about the history of Norrøna and how they're making it a zero footprint company. We also talk about creativity being present and, of course, adventure. Here is Jørgen Jørgensen. Hello.
Thank you. It's great to meet you, and I'm excited to be on the show.
Amazing. And we've just had the most fantastic tour of the factory here and looking at how Norrøna is developed, and it's been really exciting, and seeing the history of the company as well. So could you tell us, Jørgen, what it is that you do in the world today?
Well, as the CEO of Norrøna, I work actually with all the departments and all my leaders to make sure we develop the world's greatest products, which is our mission, and that we have a great customer service, and that we take really good care of our customers, and that we're able to inspire people to go out in nature, and because our vision is welcome to nature. That's our leading star, so we want people to go out in nature and really enjoy it.
Well, all of your videos on YouTube definitely inspire me to do that. For our listeners who are mostly based in the UK, who maybe have not heard of Norrøna, could you give us a quick history of it? Because it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, Norrøna was established almost 90 years ago. So it was established by my great-grandfather, the 29th of April, 1929. And he actually started a company before with another friend, and run that for a few years. But he was a craftsman, a true craftsman. He was a saddle maker by education. And with his first company, he was not happy with the quality. So he pulled out of this company and started Norrøna with the ambition of making the highest quality outdoor products. And that start was him and three of the sewers from that time. And Norrøna has slowly been developing stone on stone as a family-owned and driven company. We started with some backpacks, some gaiters, and eventually some tents, and then clothing came into the picture and developed slowly on. And I can jump all the way to 1971, where my father took over the company. And he was also, his father suddenly died, and he was standing there, and what should I do? He wasn't that interested in the company. But he took a really important decision that he wanted to build it to the next level. So my great-grandfather put in quality as the main building stone, and then my father took in the best function. So he started extreme user-driven product development. It meaning we worked with the best athletes to make them happy, and then everyone else should be covered. So during the 70s, we developed a lot of high-end products. Among those, some very high-end tunnel tents, some great backpacks. We made a 100% cotton anorak that you could go to the Arctic with, and we developed the first Gore-Tex jacket in Europe. And all of this was done in cooperation with our ambassadors when they were going to North Pole or some first ascents in Jotunheimen, the highest peak chain in Norway, or different other expeditions around the world. And it slowly developed, and during the 90s, some big changes happened in Norway. During the Olympics, the Norwegian outdoor mentality really changed. People were going into more high-end things, and the brand sort of exploded in Norway. So great development during the 90s. And then at the end of the 90s, we had a lot of good competitors coming onto the market. And I think we maybe got a little stable. So myself got a task of working with the product development from 2000. And I brought in the third building stone, which is design. So I think by adding the design element, you actually improve the function and the quality. And then I started working with the product development team and setting a new sort of more team-oriented way of working, which has developed Norrøna to the product range that we have today. I started as the CEO in 2005 and got to develop the whole brand. And the fourth building stone for Norrøna is sustainability. And that has had many chapters. Of course, making long-lasting products is the best thing you can do. Repair products is something we've done from the start. And now we're into a phase where we try to convert all our products into being with the slowest footprint as possible.
Before we jump into your amazing environmental mission, I really enjoyed listening to when you started working in Norrøna and how you got involved when we were looking around your timeline of the products. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
First, I think around year 2000, we saw that it was a great development. A lot of our competitors, they were doing quite well. So we needed to do something to improve our innovation. The first thing, when I started working here, I read a lot about design philosophy and got a lot of inspiration from other industries. You know, one of the things, we made a list how to make 10 points, how to make a great product. And it can be as easy as that, use it methodically. And then we changed our organization a bit. So we involved more people, more teamwork. And we've always worked really close with ambassadors, but we brought in a lot of new ambassadors. And this sort of created a very unique and innovative way of working, where we could take the ambassadors' need and sort of new technology and our experience, and suddenly there were coming a lot of innovative products out from Norrøna. And this also ended up in using bright colors, because the ambassadors, they really wanted the products to be visible on the mountain, so they could take great photos and great filming. And this sort of way of working, and you know, we do all our prototypes internally. We have a square meter factory where 7 people are solving new products all the time, and then you can sort of experiment with solutions and fit and really push innovation to the limit and test if it works, and then, you know, change it and then do a new prototype. So this is a really cool way of working. But this sort of put into a method that we started already in early 2000, but sort of the discipline of following the process were still not as strong as it should be. So this ended up in 2007, where we had some growing pains. We had delays in, I think, almost all our factories, and we had some bad quality coming out. And sort of instead of looking for excuses, we looked ourselves in the mirror and said, you know, we have to improve this. So we developed a good method, and from the start to the end of the product development, where there's clear definitions of who's doing what, which responsibility at what time, and there is also 13 quality checkpoints that all the products should be into. So this will be done in a visual board, which is on the wall here in the factory, and we adjust this process as we learned. So I think the method of process is really, really important if you're gonna both have time for creativity and innovation, and at the same time maintain quality, because these two things are not necessarily going the right direction. If you want to do something new, you always risk quality. So where do you find the great balance? That's something that I think we're pretty good at.
I found it really interesting to find out that your products have a 3-year development process.
Yes, so what we do is, first of all, if you want to be innovative, you need time to play. And if you also want a good quality, you need time to test. And if you're going to test a ski jacket, you have to do it in the winter. It's really hard to test it in the summer. So a little more than 3 years before we launch a product, we start the development. So with clear goals, and then the first winter season, what we do is we try to go crazy, you know, to push it to the limit. What's possible? How far can we push it? And then we eventually find the right direction for the new development. So the next season, what we do is trying to get it right. So then it's not doing a lot of new stuff, it's to make it work 100%. And then the third season is then we have done the product right, so we test it and then we sell it into the stores. And then the fourth season it's in the store. But then we've tested it in 3 winters, and at the last season we also have a lot of ambassadors getting a long-term test of it, so we make sure that things will hold when it gets into the store.
And do you feel it helped you come to this point with Norrøna by starting off, you said you got involved at age 5, and then by age 12 you designed your own Gore-Tex jacket?
Yes, I mean, one of the reasons why I get out of bed in the morning is to create stuff. I think that's something natural. I think my father had the same thing, and my great-grandfather the same thing. You know, it's building new stuff. That's important for me. And I always had it, you know, since I was a little kid. So when we had a factory and I was working there during the evenings and eventually turned on the sewing machine and started playing with it, you know, that was really fun. And it wasn't a plan behind it, but eventually it's been very useful to know how sewing machines are working, you know, how do you construct all the hard things with that. So yes, it's been very important. And I mean, I like design, I like drawing, so my head spins around products all the time. And I spend a lot of time out in the outdoors, and of course when you are out there, my head spins around how can we improve this one, how can we make the great products, what can you do to change it, is this a great one, you know. So I think that's a very important way of thinking, to be able to be innovative and to develop the company further on.
And one, as you mentioned, one of the 4 building stones is sustainability. Could you tell us all about your environmental mission?
Yes, I think back to my great-grandfather, you know, there's something with quality. You know, when you spend a lot of energy on building something that you're proud of, you want it to last. And that when that natural feeling was not linked to the environment at that time, it's more the proudness of spending time. You want people to be able to use it for a long time. You don't want it to break down in a season and then they buy something new. So this is maybe the most important environmental thing to do. And it wasn't there because of environmental thing, it's more of pride from the start. And of course, when you make high quality products and they break, you know, at a certain point something will break. It's natural to repair it. So these 2 things has been there from 1929. I think also with this mindset, people, if you spend a lot of time developing cool products, people get emotionally attached to it. We have so many people that, you know, this jacket has been with me on all my fantastic trips and this is my companion. The zipper is broken. I don't want a new jacket. I want this jacket because this is my friend. And I mean, it's so great for us as a brand to make that kind of products. So of course, we need to fix that zipper and make sure that consumer continue to use the garment. But you know, since 2000, a little later, the threat of the climate change has been more and more visible. And we've been more and more aware of the footprint that our industry has. So we started working with, you know, only using organic cotton, trying to use as much recycled polyester as possible. And that worked okay for a while. But eventually we had to put it into a different system to create a quicker change, because we see the way the world is going. We don't have a lot of time. So we need to put really high ambitious goals to our change, both to be able to change quickly, but this roadmap will also be visible to others and hopefully motivate our competitors to do the same. It's not about winning the race, it's about changing the industry. And what's really hard today is that very few ask for environmental friendly materials, because then for the mills it's really hard to make them. The more brands asking for it, the easier it is to change it. But what we figured out is, if we're going to do this, we have to be really clear on it. So we put it out so everyone can see it. And if we don't reach our goals, there will be pressure on us. Journalists will be criticizing us and so on. And we can also tell our vendors, we are going to go to 100% recycled polyester by 2020. So if you want to sell to us, you have to sell recycled polyester. And we can do that in the long term in advance, and making our vendors understand the direction we're going to. So when we launched, we worked in 2013 and 14 with the roadmap. We launched it late in 14. We managed to then also have internal goals for different people working here, what they were expected to do. And this way of working has made it very clear. So when we develop a collection, they know that, for example, now, if we go into a 2020 collection, all materials that will be developed needs to check off all the environmental criteria. And every time we see a potential problem, we try to understand how we can measure it and make a goal out of it so we can change. With, for example, PFC, which is used in the DWR, the water resistance of the fabric, trying to get all the fluorocarbon out of that. We'll put a clear goal for 2020 and communicate it to our vendors. And we see they are pushing hard to find the different solutions to that. So, I mean, this way is working really well for us. And what's also good internally is to see something that we maybe didn't totally believe in as a start. We see that we're going to be either above or very close to these goals, which is mostly due in 20 and 21. But it's only the first start. We need to turn our company into a company that doesn't have any footprint. UN has made 17 goals. And we are now on the next phase of the roadmap we're working on to connect those 17 goals to how we operate. The challenging thing with the next thing is to, take the whole value chain and making it renewable energy, taking care of all the chemicals, and making sure it's clean all the way, all the transportation. It's a big job, but we see we can do quite amazing things when we put it and organize it and make clear goals. So we're now working on the next phase of the roadmaps. We also decided that 1% of our turnover will go to our organizations that work on improving the environment. So we're taxing ourselves to make sure that. If nature dies, we have nothing. As a brand, we're an outdoor brand. We live by nature. And I think it's hard to imagine for all of us what the climate crisis could actually event, how the climate could be. And there is not a lot of time, so we must do it.
And when you're thinking of turning your entire supply chain to be a zero footprint, what's the biggest or the standout challenge within that?
I think if you have companies where we meet the owner, and usually we work with companies that has equal values to us, then we are able to influence. I think if it's too big corporation, maybe it's harder. So you have to work a lot harder to find the right decision maker, because you need a decision maker at the top that also believes in this. I think more and more people in the world realize that we must change. And I don't believe in changing and that we go back in time. I think that job is too hard. So the change is finding a new, better solution that's not there today. But I also see, our sustainable director, Brad Bourne, he's doing a great job in a lot of organizations on how we can organize this and how we together as an industry can change. And it is great to see there is a lot of technology coming out there. There's a lot of new solutions that at least gives me hope that if the technology is there, how quickly can we take use of it? It's more the question.
And where do you see, or if you had to put a timestamp on it, when do you hope that you'd have a zero footprint?
By 2029. Then
that's your 100th year birthday. Yeah.
So in these days we're working on the goal set for 2029, and that's going to be one of the goals, that we have a zero footprint by that time.
And how far along achieving that goal are you at the moment?
The first phase, which is more on the product side of using recycled polyesters and all of that, we are, I would say, plus minus 10% online with hitting the goals by 2020. But it's still, if you look at it, it looks very environmental friendly. But it's a big journey from black to green. So even if our main materials are recycled polyester, they're not green yet. They have a smaller footprint. So there's a lot of. One of the examples is that you can convert methane gas to polyester fibers. Then you're sort of getting a reversed footprint into this. There are so many cool solutions. Yeah. And there are enough polyester today. There is enough plastic, so you can reprocess it. You're reusing it. You don't need to make more. You can do the same with cotton. There's so many cool solutions that are in the test phase. Microplastic is another area where we are part of the problem and trying to find solutions that are doing that. If you can make plastic out of nature-based material and being biodegradable, you solve that. The plastic is still out there and needs to be cleaned up, and then this ocean cleanup projects, these kind of things is so important that people are willing to spend so much time to do that. So we support these guys. The more you dig into the environmental issue, the more complex it gets. Yeah. If I didn't see all the solutions that are coming out, all the new technologies which is developed, I would be pretty scared. But what is still going to be, I think, our problem is that the technology will probably be there, but the ability to change quickly into it is going to be the challenge. And I think in the outdoor industry, there's a lot of companies that have similar goals as Norrøna. They want to be the leader in the industry in the environmental thing, and that's really good. If everyone has that goal and try to be the best, at least we can change our industry.
And I'm really intrigued, because you're talking about converting methane into polyester. What products do you see yourself producing in 2029 which uses, if that technology is available, that uses it, or maybe further down the timeline?
No, I think what we really hope that the products we make in 2029, they are either made of plastic that is already there, but then they are reprocessed with renewable energy, so that process do not have a footprint. They have a long-lasting quality. They're easy to repair if something breaks, and when they're worn out, we can totally recycle it back. And then all the cuttings from production are also recycled in. But maybe we come even further on, so you can 3D print the product and recycle it right away. That kind of technology we see signs of out there. So maybe we're not, we're for sure not producing in the way we are now. I think it's more on demand. It's going to be less flow of product. Maybe you customize everything. For sure, there's more robots in the production. So. And there's smaller lots, so you'll get what you want and buy it. We probably, one of our goals is not to produce more than there's demand for. That there's no waste in anything. And I think the second-hand market is probably even greater at that time. It's easier to, you want to change jacket for some reason, you sell the old one, and it's easy to do that. And there's a big market for second-hand Norrøna products already. I see products that's been used for 4 or 5 years. They're sold at half the price of retail, so there's still a good value in those products.
And what change have you made currently that's in your within your environmental mission and sustainability that has seen you get the biggest gains?
I think the roadmap thinking is what really has changed how we are able to convert our operations. That's internally. One example, because what we believe is that everyone in Norrøna will have a responsibility in sustainability. It's not a sustainability expert that's going to convert it. It's everyone. So with this roadmap, we're able to put goals on most positions in Norrøna. So it's a natural part of how they work. And this, I think, has to change in all companies. So one of the things that we found out that we could do that affected everyone is the commuting to the office. So we have a goal, actually the goal was due 31st of December 2017, that 100% of the people working here were mostly commuting environmental friendly. That means bus, train, electrical car, biking, running, skiing, swimming for that matters. But I think we were at 98.5% in December.
Wow.
And we're going to take a new measurement in this month, actually, to see if we are able to convert it to 100%.
That's so impressive.
A lot of people here has changed to electrical cars or hybrid cars that can go on electricity to work. And we moved the whole company to close to one of the transportation hubs in Norway, so it's easier for people to do this. So that's one step, but it's still, we're a fairly small company, a little more than 100 people employed, but you have to work with this every day to get the atmosphere in here and learn people about the environment. I think we have a lot of knowledge inside the company, and we can be even better at explaining everyone why. I think what we have realized lately is that we've been afraid of greenwashing. Bragging about things that we've done just to get people to think we're very green. But a lot of the NGOs has told us you need to communicate what you're doing because it will also be inspirational to others. And that's why we also made our 6th episode on the environmental mission to start communicating what we believe and how we're working, and hopefully motivating competitors to fight even harder with us on this. And also I think it's really hard for the consumer to know what's environmental friendly, so they would probably like to choose the most environmental friendly solution, but it's a jungle out there, or it's a lot of communication between brands and shops, but there's not a lot of communication between brands and consumers. So we will, from this fall, we're also adding on a hang tag to show each product how it is which greener parameters is on there.
Oh, that will be so interesting.
Yes.
I really enjoyed, from my point of view as a fan of Norrøna, seeing the environmental videos and getting to know your team more as well. It was really interesting. And I'm really glad that you've touched upon your team and how your team is coming together to help you in your environmental mission. But without your team, you also wouldn't be where Norrøna is today. So could you please tell us about them?
No, I think, we have a lot of great people working here. I think management is really, really hard. This is something you never get you can never say I'm a 100% good manager. It's always going to be challenging, and as a manager you expect to be perfect, and no one is perfect. But so I think we still have a lot to do on the being a better me, and how we run Norrøna. We have a lot to do to be a better manager. I think what we've been really good at is finding great people that work great together. And we've been really focused on that, finding people that fit in. And they have a lot of good expertise, and they work really well together. And there's a lot of unique competence. We build and make a lot of stuff internally here. I think we're now around 16 different nations working together. And I'm really, really proud of the people working here and for the job they're doing and putting in a lot of energy. And there's a lot of passionate outdoor people. And when we have a yearly company trips, it's really cool to see how they act together and how they enjoy each other's company. I think they've done a great job of lifting Norrøna to where we are. And I think that's necessary, to be able to build a culture where people feel safe, dare to take responsibility, and that they have fun.
I was waiting in reception, I was told that your Svalbard trip a few years ago was like the best thing ever. And I'm really intrigued. So obviously nature and adventure plays such a vital part in Norrøna. How has being outdoors, being on adventures, and the mindset skills you've developed, how has that helped you be the CEO of Norrøna and take it to the next level?
I think, the CEO of Norrøna position is something that requires a lot. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy and focus where you want to go. And to be able to put that much time and energy into it, it has to be something that you're really passionate about. And I think, I'm really passionate about outdoors, and these things goes hand in hand. So my life is sort of really linked into the Norrøna lifestyle and, how you can live close to nature. And of course, it's very refreshing to be out on great adventures, being able to actually think strategy or product development and at the same time as you enjoy nature. And that through tough periods, that's really refreshing and giving you energy. I think if you have a challenging job, you have to do some physical activity to balance it, or else it's going to be very, very challenging. It would be for me at least. And also, our vision is welcome to nature. It's to get people out there. And I have to have that vision has to be strong in me also. And by being out, seeing all the great places you can go, all the cool activities you can do, and all the fantastic people you can meet out there, that makes me believe in the vision we have. And it also makes me want to protect it from environmental crisis. My values and Norrøna values get very tightly linked. And if I took myself into another industry where I didn't have the same passion, I know for sure I would not be able to work as hard or do the same things.
And what's one of your favourite adventures or activities to go on?
We live in a part of the world where you have seasons. So both strategically, we worked on collections that you can use year-round. And also mentally, instead of waiting for the winter, I started going hunting, because then you can go out and enjoy nature during the fall. Actually, of course, there's so many great nature activities. But I want activities that I can do all year round, so you can enjoy the now, not only wait for the next thing. And free ride skiing or ski touring, that's fantastic. It's something I've done since I was very little. So I really, really enjoy that. Lately, I've been doing more and more mountain biking, maybe since 2006. So I really, really enjoy that. Started hunting in 2001, and I think that's a great way to get out in nature during fall. You go places you never would have gone, and it's also a great. And then of course hiking, I do that a lot. Trail running. I also do windsurfing. We do wetsuits now, but that's also one of my passions. I do a bit of climbing, but I'm not good at that. I think it's a bit scary. But I do a lot of cross-country skiing more for workout. But it's nice just to be out there and find ways to get out in nature. But skiing, mountain biking, and hunting is probably where the most heartbeat is.
Yeah. And with your windsurfing, although that's not one of your major things, is that in the Arctic in the winter, or is that more of the summer thing?
It has been more of the summer. When I was a kid, I did it in the winter also, but then the wetsuits were so bad. But now I have wetsuits, so now I can go out whenever.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes, so of course it's actually a bigger motivation to go out to surf when it's cold. When cool now, I can test our wetsuits.
Yeah.
So yes, it's going to be. It was more last fall, and it's going to be more when the opportunities is there now.
With your wetsuit, how cold is it when you're surfing in the winter?
No, if it's a lot below zero in the water, it's not possible to surf. Then it's ice. Yeah, so the water will, never be colder than zero. But the air can be as cold as possible. I think the wetsuits that we have, they they handle the conditions as cold as they get.
Yeah.
On windsurf, the biggest problem is the hands, because you can make them really warm, but it's hard. It's so tiring to hold the sail. So the feet and the rest of the body is okay, but the hand is the hardest thing. And we haven't made windsurfing gloves yet, so our gloves are made for wave surfing, and that's easier.
Yeah, the pictures just look absolutely epic. I've always wondered what it was like because it just looks so extreme. And part of the Norwegian philosophy, which I'm really curious about, do correct me if I pronounce this wrong, is friluftsliv. Could you tell us about that?
I mean, Norway has a lot of nature, and there's a lot of, nature and the way we live. It's so connected together, and it's been for thousands of years. We have to learn to take care of the elements, and I think also if you're gonna do something, the nature is very high on the list because that's so accessible, and you can be out there by yourself or with other friends. When it's dark up in the north, you can sit in and it's very dark and boring. But if you go out skiing, you see fantastic light. You can use headlamp, or you can always use it. You can go surfing during winter when it's dark, and it's also beautiful even if it's dark. It gives you energy. And even when you walk to work in most Norwegian cities, it could be really challenging weather. So you need protection from it somehow. And therefore, Norwegians, I think they learn that it's really hard to wait for the good weather. If you want to go out in nature, you plan to do it on Saturday. Maybe it's good weather, maybe it's bad weather. It doesn't matter. So we sort of learn that there is no such thing as bad weather. It's only bad gear. So this is something Norwegians are grown up with, and with the outdoor gear we can make today, we can really be comfortable in any kind of weather, in any kind of activity. So it's just opening up so much more. And I also think lately the number of outdoor activities that you can do is really it's changed a lot the last 10-15 years. So there's so many variations. You can go sort of more zen and enjoy the sort of peacefulness, or you can go extreme and have the sort of big excitement. In most places you live in Norway, you can pick from all of these activities within very short distance. You can find breathtaking sceneries being completely by yourself and really feeling the power of nature, and you have to learn to respect it and take care of it. Even in the summertime, if you walk from some of the cabin areas where people stay in the summer, you can expect snow anytime, or you really need to be thinking about to have the right gear if something happens. If something happens to your foot, you need a down jacket in your sweater. There's no one that may be coming and rescue you right away. So all of these things, respect nature, play with it, enjoy it, be prepared for anything, is something Norwegians are thought with from they are very small.
And as a British person, how could we perhaps weave more friluftsliv philosophy into our lives?
I think that's something that we also question ourselves. How can we motivate more people to enjoy nature, to respect it? I'm not sure about the laws in UK, but in Norway we have something where everyone can walk everywhere. So you are allowed. There's like private land. Could be everyone can use it. So this just makes it really easy to go and enjoy things. I don't know if that's similar in the UK.
So you have the right to roam in Scotland, and in some areas of the UK, like in the national parks, you can pretty much go anywhere, but you're not technically allowed to camp in private places.
So I think We also have a really good organization called the Norwegian Tourist Organization, which is working they own a lot of cabins around Norway where you can, if you remember, and it's very low cost, you can live there. And some of them are you have staff, and some of them you don't have staff. So there is an infrastructure there that was developed partly by British people. The one that really explored Norwegian mountain areas was William Slingsby in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So the UK really had an influence on Norwegian Friluftsliv. But I think you can look at some of what's done from government and voluntary organization part and try to do some of this. A lot of these cabins are given by people say, you can get my cabin, and now it's this tourist organization that everyone can use it.
It sounds a little bit like so in Scotland we have the Bothy Association, and they were perhaps like old lighthouses or old, not necessarily cabins, but like old stone structures. And again, they are for free, but you can also pay to join the Bothy Association to find out where they are, because they're in some really cool places, some of them. And again, you can just go use them, you can sleep in them and just have that shelter.
I think the nature here, or the sort of seasons here where we get the snow and you can go cross country skiing outside the door. Some of these things are, if you don't have the snow, it's hard to replicate it.
Yeah.
But even on national TV, there's so many of the TV programs that's linked to nature, and people really love it. So it's a lifestyle and society built over many years, I think. But it's for sure, I think it needs a lot of passionate people to sort of drive it.
And in all that we have spoken about today, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I can say a little more about Norrøna, I think, because it's interesting for me to communicate to your listeners that yes, we make our ambition is to make the greatest outdoor products with the highest quality, but we also look at the service part is really, really important. So, what we used to say is a new Norrøna product is really cool, but one which is 10 years old is even cooler. So, to be able to offer this also the service to guide our consumers to the right products and to take care of them if something happens, because even high quality products, something will break. To be able to support with spare parts and being able to make sure you can use it for 10 years or 15 years. So we work really hard on the customer service aspect. We will guarantee to make sure our customers get happy if something happens and if they have some questions.
I've seen your repair centre and it's really cool. Mm-hmm. And we saw one of the old, was it from the 70s, one of the logos we saw?
We have a cool logo history that goes from minimalistic to maximalistic to minimalistic. So I think in our repair centres you could even find something from the 70s every now and then, from the 80s, from the 90s, and of course a lot of newer stuff.
Which is just amazing to have that kind of service attached to a brand. And now I'm going to put you on the spot, which I didn't tell you about. Mm-hmm. So it's called the Wildfire Round. So I just ask 3 to 4 really quick questions. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, what is your favourite Norrøna product?
I think the Lofoten Gore-Tex pants, the original. That's for sure at least one of them, one on top.
Yeah. And what is the oldest Norrøna product that you still use today?
I test all the new products all the time, so I don't necessarily have that many old products, but one of my hunting pants, which is called the Finnskogen Hybrid Pants, the prototype came into the market in 2008, so then I started testing it. And I go hunting a lot, and I haven't taken out the new one. So this is, when it's hot, it's so nice to use it. So this one I use still a lot, and you can hardly say it's used.
Yeah. Oh, 10 years, incredible. And if you were to have a billboard, what would you write or put on it?
Besides our vision, I think I would have at least been happy with a lot of the choices I have. I think I often think about making sure that I don't dream about what to happen tomorrow, but to be able to do those things today, to try to live right now, and not just looking forward to tomorrow. So being able to look back and say, this was fun. And for me, we put goals, long-term goals, but I think that every day, that's what tricks me. Reaching the goals is fun, but it's not the final, it's the trip, which is meaningful.
Yeah, love it. And finally, if you were able to take a past or present person with you on adventure, who would it be, what would you do, and why?
I think I would take Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
I mean, I read a lot of business philosophy about Steve Jobs, and I think he's a very interesting person. I don't know if he's a great outdoor person, but it would be really cool to go out in nature with him and discuss, how to make great products for consumers.
Oh, it's been truly amazing to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can our listeners find more about you and about Norrøna?
I mean, you can always go to norrøna.com, our website, and follow us on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. We also have 22 Norrøna stores, mostly in Norway, some in Sweden, in Switzerland and in France. But we are also working on developing more of them. And I mean, if you want to get in touch with us through our website, we have a great customer service staff that will answer you very quickly, and they are capable of answering most questions. And of course, you can look at YouTube to see a lot of our videos where we go out in different places and show what we really like using our products.
And I will include all of those links in the show notes. So once again, thank you so much. It's been truly wonderful to come visit the Norrøna HQ and see the factory. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. Just one more thing before you take off. If you would like to achieve extraordinary performance, then do sign up to my weekly email at adelaide.com/subscribe. Each week, I send out just a short email containing one mindset practice that'll help you perform at your best. You'll also receive my free ebook with superhuman Olof Dullner on developing a tough mindset, something you do not want to miss. You can just go to adelaide.com/subscribe and sign up there for free. I am also on Instagram at AdelaideGoodeve and would love to connect with you on there too. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time.